Hey guys, today on the show we're going to be talking about high EMF levels and how they can affect you. We'll be right back. Grab your popcorn and snacks. Find a comfy spot, take a seat or lie down, and let me transport you to a place of fantasy, ghost stories, ancient legends, odd creatures, alien encounters, and other magical topics. You may even decide to join the conversation. From faraway lands to your own backyard, with a small dash of pixie dust. Turn out the lights and open your minds. The journey is about to begin. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Charlotte. I'm going to be your host for the next hour. We're on 2.5 hours early today. I have some stuff I need to do this evening, personal stuff and grown-up stuff, and it's all stuff pertaining to this and my other life. Anyway, welcome. Tonight's going to be a unique show. The week has been weird, and I'm going to let you guys know about tomorrow. Okay, tomorrow, I don't know if we're going to do a live show. I may do a best of, depending on what goes down. I have a close friend that's moving to Texas. And tomorrow and Friday, she thought she would be available to have one less fling, if you want to say it, right? One less fling. So it just depends on whether or not, we go out tomorrow or we get together Friday. So that's why things have been kind of up in the air. And I thought about, doing a crafty thing tomorrow if that comes down. I can't really do that because that room is so hot over there. There's no AC back there. Or I could bring the crafties in here, or I could read from the book, or whatever. But I'm just trying to figure all that out, and that's why I thought, well, worst comes to worst, if I'm if I'm physically not here, which means I put up a best of California Haunts Radio, then you'll know that I'm out. If not, then I will be here doing either, some kind of crafty thing here. I'll bring in a table or something or somehow to do this, or I'll probably read from the book, which would be a lot easier from Dracula. Anyway, if you're watching from Facebook tonight, and a lot of you will be or are, please feel free to hit that follow button if you haven't done so already. We're always looking for followers. That's the name of the game, right? Share, and follow. Also, if you're in the chat room, if you happen to be in the chat room today, please leave a comment or two, and leave us a thumbs up. Let us know if you like the show or not. We really appreciate it. And then the same thing with YouTube. We have over 1,000 videos over there, and they're all of this show, and they're under different categories. So if you're into cryptids, you can just go to the cryptid file, et cetera, and you can find whatever show or guest you want to see. Also, with YouTube, if you haven't subscribed already, please feel free to do so. I'd really appreciate it. And again, chat in the chat room amongst yourselves, and give us a thumbs up or a happy face or whatever if you like what you see. Same thing with Twitch and all the other ones. The only difference with TikTok is we're not on TikTok, but if we were on TikTok, the only difference with TikTok is you would have to double tap that screen. I introduced myself earlier. Forgot to say, hey, I'm the owner of the California Haunts Paranormal Investigation Team, based out of Sacramento, California. We're 45 strong, up and down the state, which means we can get to you, but it's going to take us a couple days. The state's really big. In the case that we can't get you right away, we do have psychics on staff who can talk with you on the phone, and if it is something paranormal, in most cases, they can calm the energy down before we get out there. All right? Okay. We've been doing this for 18 years, and so I like to say that we know our stuff, even though it's always a learning curve. We're always learning new things. And that's the key with the paranormal team, is you have to always have your eyes peeled to look at new trends and look at different things when you're out in the field. Okay, that's to help your clients. One thing we talked about Friday is we talked about how to tell if your house is haunted or not. And one of the topics that we talked within that frame that we discussed was EMF levels, and how EMF levels, electromagnetic frequency levels, can have effects on your body. And I didn't go into a lot of detail because I was trying to jam a bunch of stuff in within that hour. Today we're going to talk about that a little more, because what got me going was that the other day I went up to my mailbox and I noticed that my electric company had left a flyer in my bill, or in my mailbox. And it looked like this. I don't know if you guys can see that. You can see the word EMF at the top. And it was about EMF information, because people, according to the flyer, people are concerned about EMF levels. And that can come, as far as the electric company goes, that can come from the lines coming in, and that can come from, like we talked about Friday, the smart meters. Okay, so this is something that people are concerned about. So we're going to look at this, and we're going to look at what we have found out so far in the paranormal field of how EMF can affect you into seeing and feeling strange things in your house or your business. Okay, I've got a couple cases I can cite right off the bat, from previous investigations that we've done. I think I talked about those Friday, and I'm going to talk about them again today. But yeah, and I've done some extra research online today because I wanted to bring myself up to date on stuff. And they still haven't done a lot of really heavy-duty studies into what EMF can do to people, high EMF levels can do to people. But we're surrounded by EMF every day. It's all over. It's your cell phone. It's my laptop right here. It's my mic, right? Anything where there's power coming in. It's my clock over here. I have a digital clock to watch the time on the show. That has EMF. If you have a clock radio in your bedroom, and that's really high EMF. That just spews that'll spew the EMF clear across your bed. Okay? If you have a remote control bed, if it's a Niagara or anything like that, or maybe even something for a hospital bed that you have somebody sick in your house, that's got high EMF in it. It could be wiring in your house and where the wiring's located. It just depends. We had a lady in an apartment that was complaining she was seeing ghosts and stuff in her house, her apartment. And we went to the apartment, and the whole apartment was what we call an EMF cage. No matter where you went in this apartment, the EMF was off the charts. Okay? EMF is said, and I'm just saying, the few studies that have been done on it, it's said to cause anxiety. It's said to cause, it could possibly cause hallucinations, among other things. And this woman was having these issues in her apartment. And what did we tell her? I looked at her and I said, I know it's expensive to even have thoughts about this, but if you move, I think you're not going to have a problem. And the way the EMF was, it seemed like her apartment was in the center of a group of like 5, right? So you had 2 on the side or 1 on the top, or however you want to say it. But she was in the middle. So the wiring in this apartment went all over. Okay, so she had the wiring at the ceiling because the people at the top, and she had the wiring in the sides for the 2 side, units and all that. So, in that particular group of apartment sections. So she was right in the middle of all this EMF. That's what we call an EMF cage. I've been in houses where people's hallways are EMF cages. All right. She moved, and we got a call, and she hasn't had a problem since. So is there something to it? I don't know. I'm not a scientist, but I'm just saying, I'm just relaying what we have experienced out in the field, with high EMF. There's a lot of concern about it out there. The smart meters that these companies put in, into your homes, they give off a really high EMF. We had one of our people on our investigation team that happened to be sensitive, psychic, had problems living in, again, another apartment. And she started seeing, instead of seeing, shadow men, she was seeing, black shadow, she was seeing brown. She was seeing brown ghosts in her apartment. And we were able to trace it over to high EMF because the smart meter was right outside her back window. Right outside her back window. And we were able to trace it down the best we could. And then she didn't have any problems. Once we figured it out and they moved further away from it, no problems. So is there an issue? I mean, if you go back and watch back, and it's just us, okay? I'm just try to play the credibility game here. The TV show Ghost Hunters, the original Ghost Hunters. They have a lot of cases on there where people have had issues in their basements, and they've realized that there's a lot of high EMF going through these people's basements, which can cause paranoia and anxiety and all this other stuff, and sometimes hallucinations, right? That's what the thought was way back then about it. So it's not just me saying this for my team. It's other teams as well out there in the paranormal field. When I got this flyer, I even texted a friend of mine who's on another paranormal team so that she would be interested. So I sent her a link to the flyer. Let's look at, really quick, let's look at what my power company put out on their website to try and help people's fears over EMF. And I'm not going to delve deeply into this. Okay, I'm gonna smooth over it because it's like I'll show you. Here's the flyer itself, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 5 pages. Oh, plus the front. So you've got 6 pages. So we're going to let's just do a brief, let's just do a synopsis on this and look over it, because they do cite the World Health Organization on here and some other places to back up, the fact that they're trying to minimize that it's a minimal thing. So let's look at this, see what they have. And I'm not fighting these guys. I'm just saying this is what they put out because people have raised concerns about EMF. So it says, the intro to this thing says, questions have been raised about the possible health effects of exposure to 60 hertz power frequency electric and magnetic fields, EMF, which are found wherever you have electric power. This article contains information that will help you understand the EMF issue, plus practical tips you can use if you want to reduce your exposure at home and at work. So I'm going to move to the next page. Try and figure out where I'm at. There we go. Can EMF harm your health? Many researchers believe that if there is a risk of adverse health effects from usual residential exposures to EMF, it's probably just at the detection limit of human health studies. Nonetheless, the possible risk warrants further investigation. Okay, all right, I can buy that. The varying results from studies which looked at estimated EMF exposures in childhood leukemia are consistent with a weak link. Okay, laboratory studies include studies investigating a possible mechanism for health effects. The results, research, have evaluated by the California EMF research programs to determine whether EMF poses any health risks. Given the uncertainty of the issue, the medical and scientific communities have been unable to conclude that usual residential exposure to EMF causes health effects, or to establish a standard level of residential exposure that is known to be either safe or harmful. These conclusions remain unchanged by recent studies. We're going to look at some studies. The WHO, which is the World Health Organization, completed a review, and it says power frequency fields. Okay, their conclusions and recommendations were presented in June 2007. The WHO report concluded that evidence linking extremely low frequency ELF, magnetic, and children's leukemia not strong enough to be considered casual. Okay, virtually all the laboratory evidence and the mechanism evidence fails support and reported association for all other diseases. There's an inadequate or no evidence of health effects at low doses. Like I said, there haven't been enough study on this, but people have been, out in the field, like the paranormal investigators and others. There's other scientists that are doing studies on this stuff. So there is alternative studies, and I'm not trying to scare people. I don't want to irritate Smud. I gotta have my power to run the show and whatnot. But this is stuff that people should know. And it's nice that they're putting this stuff out here, but I mean, this isn't the whole story, unfortunately. All right, let's see. National authorities should implement communication programs with all state. Yeah. All right, so I'm just kind of skimming through this. Community planners implement. Okay, just things that the policymakers and people should do with this. Okay, on our EMF meters, our tri-field meters that we use out in the field, and we're looking at the electric EMF. I see they did measurements when they walked away from it, which is what we do. I will go up and I will measure something like, say, a refrigerator, which some of the older refrigerators have a lot of high EMF. So I will walk up to it with the meter, do my measurement, and then I'll take steps back and see how far back this stuff radiates out. How much it would affect the client. Okay, it looks like somebody did this here. So you're looking at, when you're right at the microwave, you're at 750 to 2000. That is really high. Okay, that is really high. And that's at 1.2 feet away. Or 1.2 inches away. Oh, I see. Okay. So at 12 inches away, it goes down to 40 to 80. And at 36 inches away, you're at 3 to 8. So it could, yeah, the further you get away from a microwave, the lower it is. But as you're standing in front of a microwave, you're getting bombarded. I mean, that's just the way it is. Clothes washer. Those are always kind of minimal, and that's what we find as well. Electric ranges tend to be high, and I agree with this. Compact fluorescent bulb. I don't agree with this. I don't know what they mean by compact, but if you go do an EMF reading on your fluorescent light bulb that you're putting in, that that they've been harping on, that they changed all the bulbs to, that you sit next to read your books, you should do an EMF check on that. I'm just saying. Hair dryer, 60 to 20,000. Yeah, those put up a lot. LCD plasma TV, and this is in concordance with what I have picked up. So it's 1.1. This is 1.2 inches away. This is what I picked up on investigation. So those are in line. Now, when you look at outside, you're looking at transmission lines, distribution lines 1 to 88 milligauss, and then transmission lines are 1 to 380 or 300 milligauss. I'm blind, so just bear with me. So that's kind of interesting because I've been in situations where they've been a lot higher. So either they've tampered them down, or these are lines that are specialty done. All right, we're going to pop over to this other page on here because there's additional pages on here. Okay, so we've covered all that, right? So there's 1, 2, 3. I'm making sure I got the page. 4. Okay, so go back here. 5, 6. Okay, so they've got a section that says what you can do. So when you look at this, let me get this thing going. In a situation of scientific uncertainty and public concern, who recommended the utilities explore very low-cost ways to reduce EMF? Okay, public utilities have been pursuing no-cost, low-cost measures to reduce EMF levels from your utility transmission lines and substation progress. Okay, human studies have not produced consistent or consensus about any health benefits from changing the way people use electric appliances. But if you feel reducing your EMF exposure would be beneficial, you can increase your distance from electric appliances. Well, this is true. I mean, the further out you go, the less the EMF is going to hit you. I mean, that's just the way it is. I mean, yeah. Like they say here, for instance, you can place your electric clock. I told you, gotta watch the electric clock. I told you about those. For instance, you can place your electric clock away from the head of your bed, increasing your distance from it, and other appliances such as televisions, computer monitors, microwave ovens can reduce your exposure. You can also reduce your EMF exposure by limiting the time you spend using personal appliances, such as hair dryers, electric razors, heating pads, electric blankets. You may also want to limit the time you spend using electric cooking appliances. Again, you can locate the source of EMF in your work environment and spend break time in lower field areas. It's not known whether such actions will have impact on your health. So as we dip back in, there's a number to call over at the electric company. And then additional information they have, the World Health Organization, National Institute, Public Utilities Commission, EMF information. Okay, so that's about the gist of the flyer that I got. Let's look at EMF, and let's look at what we have studied for years. And like I said, I'm not a scientist. I'm not here to cut anybody to ribbons or anything like that over this. I just thought it was interesting that this came out. Okay, that this actually, they were actually sending this to people. So let's talk about some stuff. We'll talk about some stuff we've run into in the field and what clients have gone through and what we have experienced ourselves. We did one case up in Center Creek, and that's up in the Gold Country. Excuse me for a second. Must be okay. Up in the Gold Country, where the house was all solar. There was a main house and a guest house, and it was both were solar run. And around the solar, the EMF wasn't too bad outside. Okay, we go into the guest house, and this is where the client was having all the issues, was in the guest house. And everything, around the TV, like those readings I read off that flyer, everything was nominal. There wasn't anything really off the charts. You know, there's levels that we call normal for EMF, and so when my team fills out the paperwork, or if I'm the one doing the walk around, I'll just put within normal EMF levels. Okay, because appliances tend to give off the same levels. Microwaves, microwave to microwave to microwave will give off pretty much the same levels of EMF. Okay, so we tend to go within normal operating levels. So this is what was going on in this house. They had a bidet. It was really cool because they had a bidet. High techy. You hit the bedroom, and not only did they have an Alexa in there, which that gave off enough EMF, but apparently the solar wiring was coming in underneath the bed or in the walls, because when you measure the walls and stuff, the EMF was just so high between the walls and the floor. And it went up a certain amount off the bed as well. So my investigators, were laying down on the bed to see, because she was always saying she had headaches and things like this. Things like that, headaches and nausea and dizziness. So we started to lay on the bed, and we all took a turn. And sure enough, as we laid on this bed, we were getting headaches, and it felt like the room was spinning. So each one of us, when we sat up, we had to wait before we could get up off that bed because we were so dizzy coming off that bed. Took the EMF meter out, off the charts. What I call is up in the 2000s. That's as high. The tri-field meter only has certain settings where it goes up to, and then it has to stop, right? Because there's a needle on there. Needle was stuck at the very side, the very end. So the settings were off the charts. Now, was EMF causing these issues? You can only do so many investigations and see this for yourself, about the effects of high EMF. SMUD even says in here to move the clock radios further away from you when you're in bed, right? So they're not admitting that it's causing issues, or that the high EMF is there, but they're saying move it away so it doesn't affect you. I think it's less like with psychics and mediums. There's certain people that are more sensitive to ghostly activity than others. And I think there's certain people who are more sensitive to EMF levels than others. Okay, it's not going to happen to everybody. All right? It's not going to happen to everybody. All right? We're going to look at an article now. I did some research today, and we're going to look at this article, and I'm going to read something to you. And this article was written in 2023, okay? And this is from Dr. Ruscio. And it is I'm going to make sure we have it clear, okay? And the article is titled, "Is EMF sensitivity real? What you need to know." All right? And again, I'm not saying that my electric company is wrong, okay? I'm not saying that they're lying to anybody. I'm not saying that. Because the truth of the matter is, there really hasn't been a lot of studies put out on this stuff, okay? This is written by Dr. Michael Ruscio, DC, on September 11th, 2023. So let's go through this. Key takeaways. While some people may be more susceptible to the negative effects of EMF frequencies with higher levels of exposure, which could be X-ray texts, for example, current research shows that everyday low-level exposures from cell phones, laptops, and other household devices do not present a significant health risk. That said, people experiencing ongoing health conditions such as chronic infections, poor gut health, or other imbalances may find themselves sensitive to many different stimuli, including EMFs. Nervous system dysregulation is likely tied to EMF sensitivity symptoms, and brain retaining may be necessary to calm systems and return to a sense of safety to the body. It's a good idea for sensitive populations, chronically ill, pregnant women, etc., to be aware of their daily EMF exposure. Basic EMF avoidance strategies include turning off your Wi-Fi at night, charging your phone away from your bed, and opting for wired instead of Bluetooth devices whenever possible. A healthy lifestyle in general, eating well, regular exercise, stress reduction, and spending time in nature may make you more resilient to the exposure. A second. It seems that more and more of us are developing sensitivities to different stimuli. Food, chemicals, and now electromagnetic fields, aka EMFs. EMF sensitivity has become a more popular subject in recent years, alongside the general debate about EMFs and the possible health risks to the general population. Personally, and this is the doctor talking, okay? This is not me, this is the doctor, so let me get in here. Okay. Do so I can read this sucker. Okay. Personally, I've spoken to EMF experts who are sounding the alarm about the negative effects of EMFs and have dedicated their careers to warning others about them. My own examination of the available research suggests that concerns about EMF might be overstated. Might. However, we still need more research and clinical studies on conditions like EMF sensitivity to determine the true cause and effect behind these nonspecific symptoms, like brain fog and fatigue. Yet, there's enough research and case studies now to begin taking some action and looking for ways to support those with EMF sensitivity symptoms. In this article, let's take a look at what EMF sensitivity entails, its probable connection to the nervous system, and how it addresses it. All right? Let's talk about this. EMF sensitivity is also called electro hypersensitivity syndrome, or idiopathic environmental intolerance. It says, okay, this is the doctor. It's a medical condition where individuals experience negative health effects resulting from being in close proximity to EMF fields and devices, including Wi-Fi routers, cell phones, cell towers, laptops, Bluetooth, and many other devices. The WHO, World Health Organization, has acknowledged the condition for many years, alongside many functional and alternative medicine providers. Okay, here we go. Some of the reported symptoms include headaches, brain fog, anxiety, depression, fatigue, dizziness, vertigo, irritability, neurological diseases, sleep disturbances, heart palpitations, muscle pain, skin rashes, and irritation, burning and prickling sensations. Some people report Some people report such extreme symptoms that they only find relief when they're completely removed from any electromagnetic field exposure, like that lady in the apartment. EMF sensitivity is often associated with other conditions like chronic Lyme disease, Epstein-Barr virus, mold illness, and multiple chemical sensitivity syndrome. Some people have also reported developing EHS post-COVID or with long COVID. In these cases, EMF sensitivity may be a symptom of an underlying condition such as chronic Lyme disease. Avoidance or reduction of EMFs may be a temporary solution while treating the underlying root cause and related symptoms. In my clinical experience, hypersensitivity to many things, EMFs, foods, chemicals, etc., may also be caused by poor gut health, which I'll detail a little later. So you may want to focus your healing efforts there instead of eliminating the EMFs for long-term effort. So is this a real thing? If you're only looking at the published scientific research, then the jury is still out on EMF sensitivity and what long-term effects it causes. He says, although some existing research is compelling, it can yet prove or disprove a causal link between EMFs and electromagnetic sensitivity. However, there is some interesting info that you can pull from the existing studies that backs up the ample amount of evidence that we have on EMF. One of them used 2,000 self-reported electromagnetic hypersensitivities and or multiple chemical sensitivity cases to conclude there's enough evidence to recognize EHS as a defined neurological disorder with a significant impact on public health. Furthermore, EHF is often associated with MCS, and they may share a common root cause. He goes on, the same study also showed that about 80% VHS patients have detectable markers of oxidative stress in their blood. Abnormal blood flow to the brain, especially the limbic system and thalamus, is also common, suggesting the presence of an objective physical disorder. However, this is still associative evidence, and we need more research. Again, there hasn't been a lot of studies done on this stuff, and this is what I'm trying to tell you guys. This is coming from a doctor. However, knowing that there is a link between oxidative stress and many other chronic conditions, as well as a generally unhealthy lifestyle, it's possible that implementing a healthy diet and exercise would make you more resilient to potential effects of EMF. I can agree. I mean, like I said earlier, we don't, you really don't know why, some people are more sensitive than others. So, the doctors are trying to figure all this out. Most importantly, anyone claiming to experience EMF sensitivity should be believed, not dismissed as crazy or a hypochondriac. Regardless of the case of their symptoms, there are ways to temporarily reduce the symptoms, including taking precautions with electromagnetic devices, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, etc., that may reduce the effects. Who should be concerned about this? He says some people might be at more risk than others for overexposure to EMFs due to intense, repeated EMF exposure, such as getting many X-rays or working as an X-ray tech. Everyday cordless devices like phones, Bluetooth, and laptops have much less intense EMF radiation and may not be as harmful to the general population. This is true. You don't get really high readings off cell phones and laptops. That said, repeated everyday exposures may add up over time. Maybe someone who's experiencing non-specific symptoms, who lives under a power line, got an X-ray within the last year, and it piles up, is on their cell phone all day, and or works at a laptop day in and day out, might want to look into some basic recommendations to minimize EMFs in their day-to-day life. If it feels like you've tried everything else, including healing your gut, and you just aren't getting any better, that might be an appropriate time to examine your EMF exposure. And he goes on to say, as with most potential health risks, pregnant women may want to reduce their EMF exposure as much as reasonably possible too. But he says, but for the general population, we want to make sure that we're balancing, mitigating risk, and not becoming consumed. Okay. Most people are probably doing enough to avoid frequent X-rays, unless strongly indicated. Limiting electronic use and other basic strategies, and turning your Wi-Fi off at night. I leave mine on. It happens. And my phone's charged right next to my bed, so I must be getting slammed. Now he talks about EMF sensitivity in your nervous system. From the common systems reported, there's a good chance we can associate the dysregulated nervous system with symptoms of electromagnetic hypersensitivity. In fact, we're now learning how important nervous system regulation is in combating most chronic health problems, including autoimmune diseases and chronic infections. It's likely that EMF sensitivity and its cousins is no different. In this case, perhaps one of the pertinent questions we can ask in cases of EMF sensitivity is, how can I make the nervous system more resilient, instead of trying to completely eliminate the exposure, which, let's face it, is going to be near impossible, which is true. How can we support the nervous system to be able to handle higher levels? Such simple practices include getting out of nature and grounding, practicing meditation, breath work, and even heat-cold exposure. All can help improve the resilience. All right. Now, how do you address the sensitivity? If you believe EMFs are impacting your life, there are many strategies, okay? EMF avoidance. Unplugging your Wi-Fi router at night, unplugging your laptop, using wired devices, limiting your electronic use. Don't sleep with your mobile phone next to you. We all do that. Use speakerphone. I do that. Charge your devices at night outside your bedroom. Okay. There's just a few simple strategies. Nutritional support. If your sensitivity to EMFs is partially totally caused by oxidative stress or nervous system dysregulation, we can support the body's ability to counteract stress by nutrition. So, anti-inflammatory diet. This is from a doctor, not from me, okay? Just remember that, I'm not a doctor. Brain retraining. It says you can, let's see, might be brain retraining, also known as brain rewiring. This is simple. This is similar to the nervous system regulation practices I mentioned earlier. So you want to meditate, stuff like that. Gut health. The non-specific symptoms related to EMF sensitivity may have an easier and more defined fix: gut care. Your gut health affects just about every other system in your body, including your root brain, nervous system, rebuilding your gut health will help you deal with this. I'm just kind of skimming over this. He says it doesn't have to rule your life. When you suffer from this, you're simply cautious with the electro. And you should know that you don't have to make your entire life about avoiding this. If you want to learn more from me about gut health and nutrition, he has a thing. Okay, so that article was very informative. I want to make sure I don't click out of StreamYard. Okay. All right. So that's what he says as opposed to what was said in the flyer. I'm not saying anybody's wrong, and even he admits that there's just not enough study out there on this stuff. But again, this is what supposedly can be found. And one of the other things that he didn't say is it can cause hallucinations as well. Okay, so this is why when we go into a house and we're looking for logical explanations to what may be a haunting or what may be things going on in the house with people. This is why we take these EMF meters in and we do these thorough walkarounds. I mean, I've got a questionnaire that's 120 questions to ask people because I'm trying to narrow down, root causes to, what may be logical causes, human-made causes is the bottom line. And after we narrow all that stuff down, then we can look at it as being paranormal. But until that point, we're looking at things like EMF levels. There was this one house in particular that we did in the Bay Area where for some reason, when you turn the lights off, the EMF was off the charts. And when you turn the lights on, the EMF was fine. And it turns out the husband, and I don't know if that's even possible, but it was in this case, so the husband had decided to play contractor, and he rewired his house. And he had rewired his house, and I guess he managed to wire it backwards because the EMF was, or however that works, because the EMF, like I said, when the lights were off, the EMF was off the charts, and when the lights were on, there was no problem. So she had to go through and have another contractor come out. Thank you, Brennan. She had to have a contractor come out and completely redo the wiring in the house because she was seeing the ghost of a little boy in her house and some other stuff. And was that causing her to see this little boy? You can't really, even with that, you can't really determine because it's inexact. Like this guy says, there's not enough studies done. There needs to be more study done on this stuff. But I mean, that's what we look at. Just like that old woman that was living in the apartment. Once she left the apartment, she didn't see this stuff anymore. Once our investigator got away from that area where that smart meter was, she didn't see those things anymore. So I mean, you can look at that as being experienced, and you can look at that as just being lucky, with these cases. But I mean, it is out there. I mean, those meters are high, and that's like I said. When you see us walking through your house, and we're like leaning underneath your bed in your bedroom, and we're overlooking at your furniture, and then we're looking at the clock, and we're looking at your aquariums, and we're looking at all this stuff. Then you see us step back because, like with that SMUD thing that they had, they showed different inches per measurement as to how far out the stuff was emitting. We do that too. I mean, we're going to look at how far that EMF is emitting. Because, like I said, headaches, like he says, nausea, it could cause anxiety and things like that. You could be thinking like, and then there's a lot of cases where people are in a laundry room and they're at the bottom and there's all these wires above them and a lot of EMF coming through, and they feel like they're being watched, and that's the anxiety. That stuff can cause anxiety. So you could feel like you're being watched by something that's not there. Okay, so this stuff will cause these feelings, and that's one thing you as the consumer have to watch out for, as far as all this EMF goes. And as ghost hunters and as ghost investigators, paranormal investigators going out to somebody's house, that's what we watch out for. That's what we're looking for. It's stuff like that till we narrow down. It's like I said, there's nothing man-made. There was a place we went to, a business in a small town, very popular town up in Nevada. Not going to say who it is or where it's at. But the EMF coming off the electric poles was off the charts there. in this one particular room, and this is where people had seen a lot of what they call ghosts, walking through there all the time, and they felt uneasy being in there, and the anxiety was there that they were being watched all the time. But the closer you got to that pole, the higher the EMF was. So, could it be causing the anxiety? Could it be causing what they were seeing? That's possible, absolutely possible. Did a house out towards the foothills, and they had seen a fireball, or what they thought was a fireball coming through their house. Had a lot of activity in the house, and I happened to look outside, and the power lines were running probably, I would say, 15 feet, 20 feet away from the house, the side of the house. Literally running, you could see them. Whether it was cable, whether it was power, or whatever, you could see these lines running. Did that have an effect on there? I'm sure, some of those did. That they were having issues. Did they move? No, because that was their dream house. What are they going to do? You just have to learn to live with that stuff. I mean, that's what we're looking for. We go outside, we're measuring where all the power lines are. Even it's like old style measuring where we're walking, with our steps. 1, 2, 3, 4 to figure out how many feet away we are. That's what we're doing out there. We're measuring, how far away that the power or the EMF is emanating. It was interesting in that flyer too that they mentioned digital clocks. Digital clock radios are really bad. If you have an old-timey kind of clock radio by your bed, that just spews the EMF across your bed. Especially if it's like right by your head, on the nightstand. Yeah, that'll do it like horrendously. You're sleeping in EMF with that. And it's not even the person sleeping next to it. It's your spouse or whoever's sleeping next to you on the other side is going to feel that too. There's certain things. But we've been on several cases where the EMF was so high that we asked people to either, have a contractor come out to check it out, or either if you don't want to move, then we've done everything we can do to help you, because you have to watch it. Christmas lights. Those real pretty little lights that you put on your Christmas tree. Those give off extremely high EMF. A lot of people like to put those in their bedrooms to decorate their bedrooms because it looks nice. And I saw a guy who used to live out of his SUV on TikTok, and he used to have them in his SUV behind him when he was eating dinner and stuff. High EMF come off of those. Hands down, high EMF comes off of those as well. There's all kinds of things. I'm not saying, and you know what? If you guys want to know about your EMF, just like we do, we have these fancy meters, right? The tri-field meter. You can go to Home Depot and pick up a cell sensor. Because the meters that we use, they're not specialized to ghost hunting. I know there's people out there that build stuff, and we have some of that custom built thing. Some of those things, they're custom built for ghost hunting. We have some of those tools. But the majority of what we use out in the field as ghost hunters is used out in the field of construction. Okay? So these EMF meters we're using are actually being used by electricians. So you can go out to Home Depot and buy one. And then you can check it. You can check for yourself in your house and see where the real high EMF is in your house. Just like a lot of the temperature meters that we use, they're used by air conditioning guys. Okay, so there's no big thing that ghost hunters use special tools. The custom stuff like like the special cameras, the stick people cameras and things like that. Those have been modified from different computer games. But I'm just saying those have been modified for ghost hunting. For ghost hunters. But a lot of the equipment that we take out with us in the field, this is stuff that people that are electricians and contractors use. So they're easy to get. So you can figure out the EMF in your own house. See where it's at, the high EMF. Go to Home Depot. I know those cell sensor meters, I don't think they're more than like $40. So it's not like it's going to cost you an arm. Like tri-field meter, that's something altogether different, because the tri-field meter is exactly what it says. It not only measures electrical, it measures microwaves, it measures radio waves. So it measures three things. So those run anywhere from 100 on up. But if you go after a cell sensor or even a K2 meter, right? Those K2 meters you see on TV, they're not more than like $50. They're affordable. That's how you can self-check your house for EMF. But the point of this show was that I just found it interesting because, we as paranormal investigators have been saying for years, we've seen what little research there is out in the field, and we have been saying for years that high EMF can cause paranoia and anxiety, and sometimes, sometimes you'll hallucinate, headaches and all this other stuff. We've been saying this for years, and then to finally get a flyer about this, and this is the first time I've seen a flyer about this. Because I've been paying, I've been doing the bills here for the last 11, 13, 11, 13 years, and I've never seen this flyer before that came in that I found. And this is why I wanted the show. It grabbed my attention, to get this flyer from my electric company about EMFs. Because it says, as it says in there, there's concern. People are concerned about these things. And there's a lot of research online. You can Google online and see it. You can even Google online EMFs and the paranormal, and find research there. But that's why, I wanted this typified. I wanted to read this thing. I wanted to read this stuff from this doctor. It came from the horse's mouth from a doctor who obviously did his research. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a scientist. I'm a paranormal investigator. I'm a journalist. That's what I do. I'm a journalist, photojournalist. I'm not a PhD. I'm nothing like that. But I'm here to help people, and I'm here to educate people. And this is what I'm doing here today is trying to educate a little bit about EMF. And that's why it struck me as interesting that this flyer came out. That's why I contacted my friend to let her know, because she hadn't seen this flyer or this information. I wanted her to be aware of it. She's on another team here in Sacramento. EMF cages, and that's like that woman's house. I mean, that's a typical EMF cage where she's surrounded by EMF. She can't get away from it, and it's high all the time. And she was seeing people in her house, not in dreams, but physically seeing people in her house, apparitions. Like I said, once she moved out, all that stopped. Was it the high EMF? Probably. Because remember, these studies, I'm going to repeat it again, there hasn't been enough study on this to really have everybody, to have all the scientists and everybody to come onto the same page. No, nobody's there yet with studies to where they're all going to jump on the bandwagon and go, oh no, this stuff is bad. Okay, they're not going to do that because it's too spread out right now. It's been spread out for years. I mean, when you look at, the smart meters, they started to distribute those back in, I think it was 2007 is where all this stuff started to come out, and they were starting to spread the smart meters. 2007, 2013 maybe. And all these smart meters started to come out. So all this information, the research. He talked about, I think it was 2007, when the first research was really going, when they first started doing research on high EMF. And now here we are at 20. Like his thing was 2023 was when he wrote up his thing on the internet. So here we are all those years later, and like he says, it's inconclusive, essentially, because there's not enough study done for to get everybody on board to make these conclusions. Yet doctors and nurses are seeing these cases of these people that are getting sick in their homes because of this stuff. It's an interesting thing to study. It really is. And as far as what we do, and like my friend told me today, It's always good to stay on top of this stuff and read new information that comes out. You know, and we're gonna, and the cases are always going to be there. I never thought about that with my mother who had dementia, and she would hallucinate and she would get anxiety in her bedroom, she was on a hospital bed, that had a motor on it. It never even occurred to me, even as a paranormal investigator, to go in there and check the EMF levels coming off her bed. Never even thought about it. And now that I read this stuff, and knowing what I know, I should have probably gone in there and checked. And maybe that would have helped her during the night scares that she would get. Maybe it would have helped to know that. Put her on a different type of bed or something at night. I don't know. Or, get her in the position where she likes to sleep and then unplug the bed. Right? Because maybe the EMF was adding to the hallucinations or the anxiety that she had. It's stuff like that. That made me think a lot, about that today as I started to read this stuff. But it's just something to be aware of in your house. And I know these new light bulbs. I try to buy the old style because you can still kind of get the old style if you know where to look. And I've noticed, and it's not every fluorescent bulb that they've come out with, energy saver bulb that they come out with. Not all of them have high EMF. Like Smud pointed out, certain bulbs didn't have high EMF. But there are some that you buy that, if you get an EMF meter and put it up there, and it's off the charts for EMF. Everything. Electrical outlets give off EMF. Anywhere where you plug anything in. Anything that has to do with power, like the guy said, your cell phone. But I just wanted to talk about this today because, like I said, I found this thing yesterday and I thought, okay, it's a good topic to talk about today, to talk about high EMFs. And it's interesting, like I said, because the electric company has had people asking about this. Because, people are kind of leery about high EMF levels and what it can do to your health. Like I said, part of my job as a paranormal investigator and a journalist is to inform people about things and to educate people. And this show is a good, tool to use to do that and keep that education going for people. But I'm glad I got to share this with you guys, to talk to you guys about this. But I mean, every time you feel paranoid in your house, is that high EMF? I don't know. You can just hear somebody knocking outside and get paranoid. I don't know, but yeah, it's something to look for. It is something to look for. And I've been out, on cases with clients where they're really thankful because they actually will come back and they'll go through the house themselves. They'll go out and buy their own meters, their own EMF meters. And check it out, and they'll call back and go, "Oh, you were right. I mean, the EMF is really high over here. I didn't realize the Christmas lights I keep on my, on my wall above my bed were putting out that much EMF. I'm turning those things off. It's just things like that to look out for. And we've done like I said, and as far as our investigations, we've done a lot of houses where people like to have Christmas lights out. Nothing wrong with it. You like, you're into the festive thing. I'm good. I am. I have a Christmas tree in my living room. I like my festives. But you don't realize how much, EMF is coming off of that. It's just something to look out for. And you can Google online. There's places online that will tell you what items that you have in your home or could have in your home that will emit high EMF. And you can try to shop for stuff that doesn't do that. It's nothing to do that. Just talk to Dr. Google. But, it's just a way to bring the EMF down in your house. And there used to be a way years ago, and I don't even know if that's available anymore, that there was a program through the power companies that you could refuse, like those smart meters. You can refuse to have them installed in your house. You can decline it. Because you were paranoid about EMF or whatever. But you could decline that too. I'm not saying, like I said, I'm not saying it's just the smart meters that electric companies are putting in, installing in people's homes. It's not like that. It's everything else we have around us that you have to look at. My face is doing, my teeth are doing weird things like, I don't know, my face looks. But yeah, so I mean, it's just something to look out for, these high EMFs. And like I said, there's a show, I decided to do this on the spur of the moment when I got this flyer. Because I just wanted to point that out, that I think it's unique. We've been out for years talking about these EMFs, and to have people be wary of them and all this, and then all of a sudden I get a flyer from my electric company about it. So I just thought it was pretty significant. Okay, shifting gears. Again, tomorrow, I don't know what's going to be happening. I have a good friend that's moving to Texas, and it's up in the air as when we can get together, and so I've kind of opened up the end of the week for that, because she was thinking Thursday or Friday. So tomorrow, if I'm here live, we will be either reading from Bram Stoker's Dracula, or I may try to do work on Lego Yoda in here. We'll see. I'll have to rig a table in here so I can do it. So we'll see if I'm able to do that. I cannot go into my other studio, my big studio, because there's no air conditioning, and it's not going to happen for me in there. Okay. Plus my phone will overheat and all that. We don't want to go there. So I'll have to make a decision about that if I'm not here live. And yeah, that'll be the alternative on this. If I'm not here live, I will be running a best of. So I will choose some cryptid thing that you guys like, or something, a show that you liked a couple years ago or whatever. But I will run a best of tomorrow for you guys, and that way you'll know that I'm out for the day, right? I'm out with my friend. Friday, the Nancy match is at 6:30 p.m. Pacific. I might turn around and push that show earlier, or I might push it later if I am out for the day. So we'll see how that goes. But other than that, just keep looking for the shows and whatnot. And I want to thank everybody for coming today and listening to this. Yeah, I don't think it was what you expected. But I just want to get this stuff out and get the information out to you guys. And you can be the judge. You can be the judge. Like I said, go over to the hardware store, go to Home Depot, go to wherever your hardware store may be, Ace, right? Amy Hardware, wherever you guys go, your local hardware store where you live, and see if you can get a hold of a EMF meter yourself and check out your house. Check out all your appliances, check out your light switches, check out everything. And see if you might have high EMF emanating through your house. Or if you think if you get the feeling you're being watched or something in your house, and that might be a thing to look at, to see if there is high EMF emanating from anything. All right. Okay, again, I will see you guys hopefully tomorrow, or if not, then I will see you guys on Friday, or vice versa. But I hope you got something out of this show, and again, I did quote that doctor, which was fine, and the Sacramento Municipal, I want to thank them for sending the flyer. Sacramento Municipal Utilities District for sending that flyer out. But I hope I made you a little bit more aware about high EMF, and what appliances might be causing it, or what it will cause, the anxiety and all that it can cause. So I hope I enlightened you that way. And I will see you, like I said, hopefully tomorrow. All right. If you like the show, share it with 5 people. If you hated the show, share it with 5 of your enemies. Again, we are Equal Opportunity here at California Haunts Radio. Just trying to get the word out on our show. And tomorrow, and I will get that Patreon link up for you guys too, to help support us and keep us on the air. That would be great. So I will have. That's one of the things I'm working on after I get off today, and to give myself more time. That's why I decided to do an early show. All right, guys, I will see you, and be on the lookout tomorrow, and I'll probably be back on the air. I don't know yet, but okay, I'll see you. Okay, bye.